Hello, athletes. Welcome and thank you for tuning into the Coach Katie Danger podcast, recorded live from Omaha, Nebraska. I'm your host, Coach Katie Danger, U.S. Army veteran, fitness coach, and founder of Red H Nutrition. Here's a fact for you. 99% of us are not elite athletes. We're individuals from all backgrounds, juggling life's priorities, including jobs, our families, their needs, and trying to find time to take care of ourselves. Every single week when you tune in, I'll be discussing clear, concise, and actionable strategies you can use to get the most from your fitness, nutrition, and mindset so you can optimize your life without compromising your time. So athletes, settle in and get comfortable. I'm here to educate, inspire, empower, and entertain you to help you enjoy the unique fitness journey that you are on. Hey athletes, welcome to episode number 67. As I'm recording this, the calendar has just turned to June, and I admit it was a little bit of a sticker shock feeling when I turned the calendar. June? It's June already? It seems like the year just started, and then all of a sudden, here we are, almost at the halfway point of the year. The beginning of the new month, and especially the changing of the months, it reminds us that how fast time really goes. And it brings me to a point of reflection on the things that I had planned this year. What did I accomplish? What do I still have left of the things that I want to do? It's actually been pretty busy over here at HQ the past few months. We've got some new supplement products that came out, one that came out June 1st, and we've got a new immunity vitamin that comes out here probably in the next 4 to 6 weeks. We also have a group fitness challenge that's going on, and over 400 people are currently signed up. It is 100 lunges a day for 30 days, and since it's June 2nd, as of recording of this, we're on day 2. And nothing speaks like instant fitness motivation like a good group challenge. So it's certainly a great thing to get involved in at this midpoint in the year. I'm also recording this episode a little earlier in the week than I usually do because I'm taking a trip to Hawaii this weekend. I was thinking about my bucket list the past few weeks, and then Memorial Day weekend came around, and I just thought, wow, like if I died tomorrow, I would be super bummed that I didn't get to Hawaii. I really want to see it. Now, good news is I'm not dying or anything, but I kept wondering what I'm waiting for. So on Sunday, Memorial Day weekend, Sammy and I sat down and she was just doing some searching of flights and how much they cost. She said she was dreaming. And we said, what are we waiting for? So we just booked our flight. We booked our flight and we leave Friday. So that's why I'm recording this a little bit sooner than usual, but I legit get across something huge off my bucket list in the next few days. And I also signed up for a private surfing lesson. So I get to surf. I mean, I live in Nebraska, a landlocked state. I don't see the ocean, but maybe like every other few years if I'm lucky. So I'm really excited about that. And I'll tell you all about it next week when we chat again. I'm sure there'll be pictures on social media if you want to keep up. But for this week, let's get to the fun stuff, right? For this week, I want to revisit a really important topic I've talked about before. I've talked about this in a past podcast, but some important things need to be restated. I like to say things in a different way. Perhaps, if I say it a certain way or present the information in a different way, it will seem more relevant to you and your fitness goals. We're talking about creatine. There are so many bogus ideas and fake news around creatine, so I just got to set the record straight. I know I talk a lot about supplements. I mean, that's what a lot of these podcasts are about. But if there was one supplement that I would take with me to a deserted island, it would be creatine. Creatine helps you recover fast, improve speed, power, endurance, and strength. It does it all. And this podcast is going to cover some more details about what creatine is, how it helps you with your fitness goals, and overcoming some of those common misconceptions that the fitness world seems to have about creatine. But first, let's just start with this. Creatine is the most widely studied and researched fitness supplement available. And according to the most current research available, there are no reported adverse side effects for healthy adults. Creatine is a molecule that's produced in the body from amino acids. It's primarily made in the liver. So creatine is a substance that naturally occurs in the body. What it does is it stores high energy phosphate groups in the form of phosphocreatine, which are donated to adenosine diphosphate, ADP. So we're getting a little sciencey, but stick with me. I'll make sure it makes sense in case you're kind of like confused right now. So this phosphocreatine donates to ADP, adenosine diphosphate. So there's 2 phosphate groups. Creatine comes in and says, hey, you can have one of mine. And it makes ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is the primary energy carrier in the body. Now, the role in energy production is particularly relevant under conditions that demand high energy, like intense physical or mental activity. So think about this. If we're able to regenerate energy faster, so we use this phosphocreatine molecule, it floats on over to ADP, it donates itself, make new ATP. If we're able to do this, we have more energy for activities that we love to do. More energy means we can do more work. And if our bodies are primed to handle more work, we can create a greater stimulus on our body and can see results in muscle gain and fat loss a lot quicker too. Creatine can be found in some foods and is most prevalent in meat and fish. So if you're a plant-based or a vegan athlete, supplementation becomes of even greater importance because dietary intake is generally low or non-existent. For athletes, the primary benefits are an improvement in strength and power output during resistance exercise. So when you're using weights, that's when creatine really starts to make its money for you. Now, when you use it in conjunction with resistance exercise, creatine can also help promote lean muscle mass gains, which is another amazing benefit, is an improvement in our anaerobic capacity. So creatine supplementation helps you with sprinting and HIIT workouts too. It's not just about resistance training. One of the most frequently asked questions I get about creatine is it safe? And unfortunately, creatine has been lumped into this meathead bro crowd, and it often gets misidentified as a steroid. But this could not be further from the truth. It is not a steroid. And like I said earlier, creatine naturally exists in our bodies and our food, so it's not a steroid. Creatine certainly enhances performance, but it is not in the same class as anabolic steroids or other steroid derivatives. So let's just put those conversations to bed. Let's just shut it down now. Creatine is safe, it is effective, and you should be using it in your supplementation routine. And yes, it's safe for women too. So ladies out there, if you're listening, get yourself a tub of creatine right now, and you can start feeling stronger in your workouts too. So remember, creatine is not a steroid. It has nothing to do with testosterone or hormones. Now, the only caveat to creatine is this. If you're someone who has a severe kidney disorder, most doctors would agree that if you have severe kidney damage, creatine should be used with caution. So as always, if you have any concerns with current medications you're taking, your kidney function, make sure you speak with your physician before you start creatine. So now that we know that creatine is generally safe for most healthy adults without any kidney disorders, you're probably wondering, what's the best way to take it? You've also probably heard a little bit about creatine and loading phases, which is something you can do but isn't necessary. However, for this podcast, I do want to explain to you how to properly load creatine. When I say loading creatine, all that means is you're taking a higher dose for a short amount of time, and then you scale it back to a normal daily dose. And many athletes will do this as it produces benefits quicker than if you just took a normal dose. So if you're new to creatine, taking a loading dose could help you feel the benefits sooner, but over the long term, it certainly isn't necessary. So here's the recommendation you're probably looking for. The recommendation for loading dose is 0.15 grams per pound of body weight. So if you're a 150-pound person, this would mean 22 grams of creatine a day, plus or minus a little bit, depending on what your scoop size is. So once again, it's 0.15 grams per pound of body weight. And with a 150-pound frame, you'd be looking at 22 grams of creatine a day. Now, you want to space that dose over the course of like 3 to 5 times throughout the day. And then you follow that loading dose for 5 to 7 days. So think no more than a week. You're taking that loading dose, you're spacing that loading dose out about 3 to 5 different times throughout your day. Now, the daily maintenance dose then goes down for the rest of the time period that you take creatine. You can take creatine indefinitely, long term, as long as, once again, you don't have any kidney concerns or issues or disorders. The suggested daily dose after you've come off of your loading dose is 2.5 grams to 5 grams daily. So very easy to maintain long term. And then as for timing, there is no best time to take creatine. The only best time is one that you can do daily and consistently. So as long as you're able to fit it into your schedule, it doesn't matter if it's pre-workout or post-workout. Some athletes take it pre-workout because they put it in their pre-workout. Some athletes put it in with their orange juice that they have with breakfast. Some athletes are putting it in their post-workout protein shake to get their creatine in at the end of their workout. All of that is fine. Once you start taking it daily and consistently, the creatine stores in our body are going to be stored up. They're going to be utilized to help you with the energy demand of your training, no matter if you're taking it before your workout or after your workout. Hey, I know, and you know, that I talk a lot about using supplements on your fitness journey and reaching your full potential. How I believe they're integral pieces of the puzzle to reaching your best self and best fitness results. But do you know how supplements fit into your plan? Do you know what to take for your goals and how much of a supplement you should take? If you've ever had any of those questions and you want to know how supplements can work for you and your goals, go to yourfitnesssupplements.com and take the free 3-point personalized supplement assessment. And with just a few questions, you'll have a complete personalized supplement recommendation in less than 60 seconds. You'll know more about how supplements fit into your fitness goals, what's safe, and what's effective and perfect for you. So type in yourfitnesssupplements.com in your internet browser take the free assessment and get on the fast track to your best fitness results. There's lots of vanity creatine brands out there. When I say vanity, I mean like they're popular for just the fact that they're popular. I don't know, I just call it vanity. And when it comes to the limits of science, humans are always testing new ways to get the same results. So that's where these like fancy vanity brands come out and they use like big, large buzzwords to try and think like, oh, maybe this is better than the creatine that I was taking. Now with creatine, if you're doing a Google search, you're probably going to look online. You're going to find some forms like Crealkaline, micronized creatine, creatine monohydrate. Those are probably the main ones you're going to find. Now, any form of creatine is going to get you the results we just discussed, but the more vanity a product is, the more that they say that they've changed the molecules to potentially prevent bloating or it absorbs quicker. You're going to pay a premium on those prices, and that's really the only difference is the cost. I remember when Crealkaline came out and it was all the rage, but it was like 5 times the cost of a bag of creatine monohydrate. And the claims were that it would reduce bloating. And if there is one minor side effect of creatine during that loading phase, you could potentially retain water, but that is simply just because we need water in order to produce energy. At the end of the day, all the research is usually self-funded anyways. So it's going to come back to anecdotal. Like, what is the actual athlete doing? What is the actual athlete experiencing? So creatine monohydrate is where it's at. And while creatine monohydrate is the most basic, simple form, and it can cause a little bit of bloating, only really if you're doing that loading dose, it is something that will go away. And it's something that's actually necessary because if you're creating energy, Krebs cycle, you need water. So it actually really is important. As your body starts to adapt, that bloating is going to go away. Once you decrease to the daily maintenance dose of 2.5 grams to 5 grams, you're going to be A-okay. Now, if you're going to start taking creatine, I really just suggest you look at a micronized creatine monohydrate. It is tasteless, it is cheap, it is odorless, and it generally mixes well in anything. You can put it in your protein shake, put it in pre-workout, you can pretty much drink it with anything. I typically don't like to take it with just water because it can be a little gritty. So you kind of swallow it, you can chew it and feel it. But otherwise, it doesn't taste like anything, doesn't smell like anything. It's just like an odorless, colorless crystal. Now, just how big of results can you anticipate from starting creatine? This is like the really cool part, because this is where it's like, oh my gosh, I did not know one supplement could possibly make this much of a difference for me. So if you're still on the fence about creatine, this is what is possibly going to change your mind. So pay attention here. I did some research on this. I went to examine.com and there is a large meta-analysis. So what a meta-analysis is, it takes a bunch of studies and then gives a summary of all those studies. And it puts the numbers to really like applicable, usable, actionable information for people like you and me, everyday athletes. It concluded that creatine was able to increase strength from 12 to 20%. So in all the studies they looked at, strength in athletes was increasing from 12 to 20%, 12 to 20% increase in strength gains. And then when it comes to power output, they found a 12 to 26% increase following a training protocol that used creatine as supplementation. Now, athletes, think about this. Even if you fall on the low end of that 12% to 20% spectrum or 12 to 26% for the power output, who wouldn't want to gain 12% in their strength? Who wouldn't want to gain 12% in their power output? Like, this isn't even the 1%. We're not just like moving the needle a little bit. We're moving the needle pretty significantly, right? There's a reason that I've made 2 whole podcast episodes about creatine, and it is because it is awesome. It works. It's a no-brainer. It helps you do more work. It helps you build, lean more muscle tissue. And it is a secondary effect of having more muscle. You're going to burn more fat. You lean up, you build strength, you increase your power. Who is going to say no to that? I certainly don't. And I really hope you don't either, because it is really a game changer, especially if you're like, I don't want to take supplements, but maybe you're considering adding something. Creatine. I'm going to say it again, creatine. There were also a few interesting notes and studies that they kind of fall outside the scope of what an everyday athlete is, the majority of the people that I work with and the athletes that I work with and power athletes. But I do want to talk about them here because they're still very, very interesting. And they show the complete applicability across the board for creatine and athletics in general. For swimmers, creatine supplementation was shown to decrease 100-meter swim time by 2%. So for sprint distances and events, we're seeing a decrease of 2% in time on a 100-meter. And that is very significant. If you've watched the Olympics at all before, you know that the difference is like milliseconds, not just even seconds, but milliseconds, right? So the 100-meter, 2% less, quite significant. And then this one I thought was interesting too. So this is a study on children. And for children who suffer from a neurologic spectrum disorder, so like autism, some other attention deficit disorders, there was a decreasing amount of fatigue that these children experienced throughout the day from 90% to 10%. So they went from being really, really tired to not really being tired at all. That is A huge difference. And this is in children too. So I'm not telling you to start giving your kid creatine for energy, but I just thought it was really interesting research nonetheless, because it still highlights this dynamic applicability for creatine, all ages, all sexes, and all fitness endeavors. Creatine works because our body has an increased capacity to produce ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the energy workhorse of our body. Now, normally ATP starts to become depleted after 8 to 10 seconds of high intensity activity. But because creatine supplements help you produce more ATP, you can maintain optimal performance for a few seconds longer. And over the course of many training sessions throughout your week, months, and years, all this extra energy, it adds up to more reps, more weight, faster efforts, and better results. Hopefully at this point, all these benefits that I have talked to you about are starting to show you why creatine is the #1 supplement for athletes wanting to build strength, muscle, speed, and just overall improve your fitness performance. Now, if the next question you had in mind is where you can get a good source of creatine, you are in luck. You already know I love creatine so much. This is the second podcast episode I've done about it. I do a lot of blogs and just discussion about how creatine has helped me in my endeavors as an athlete, both as a competitive athlete and just an everyday athlete in my home gym basement. And because I love it so much, and I've benefited greatly from it throughout the years, I developed my own line of creatine with Red H Nutrition. It's pure micronized creatine monohydrate. It's easy to mix with anything. It absorbs quickly. And if you want all the amazing benefits of creatine I just discussed with you, the next thing that you need to do is you need to go to redhnutrition.com. You need to grab a tub of pure creatine. And if you haven't already, you can save some cash. I've got a unique coupon code. All first-time buyers can use the code Coach Katie Danger. It's all one word, Coach Katie Danger, at redhnutrition.com, and you can save 30% on your very first order. Now, if you've already used that code before, no worries. As a listener of the podcast, you can always go to redhnutrition.com on any order, any regularly priced supplements, and use the code podcast20, podcast20, and you can save 20% on everything. So not only can you get your creatine today from redhnutrition.com, but depending on what coupon code you use, you can save some cash and you get it shipped to you for free. So there is nothing for you to lose here, athletes. Don't waste any more of your precious training time. Get some creatine monohydrate right now. Go to redhnutrition.com, grab a tub. Your body, your training, your results are going to thank you. Athletes, I hope that this episode enlightened you to the benefits of creatine. I hope it helps you put to rest any misconceptions or bro science you might have heard about creatine. Creatine works. Creatine is amazing. It is the most widely studied supplement out there. It has been around for a really long time, and there is a reason for that. There's a reason. It's because it works. If you have any questions about creatine and how you can fit it into your routine, you're always welcome to email me, katie@coachkatiedanger.com. As always, it is a pleasure to spend some time with you every week and talk about all the awesome things that can help make us better athletes, improve our fitness, and make this whole journey a lot more enjoyable and fun. You guys, I'm going to wrap up this episode with one final pep talk for you. I want you to believe in yourself. I want you to trust the process. I want you to enjoy the journey, and don't ever quit. We will chat again next week, athletes. But for now, this is Coach Katie D. Over and out.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.